Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MilsimUnits.com podcast. I'm your host, C. Brock, and with us here today, we have several leaders from the 10th Ranger Regiment, 10RR. That includes Gray.
Hello.
And we got Espino.
Hello.
And Alvy.
How's it going?
All right, gentlemen. It's good to have you with us here. Been checking out your Discord, took a look at some of your social media and some of your YouTube videos as well. So definitely looking forward to getting into this one. So I got to ask, how did you all get started in Milsim? I mean, what's your history in terms of gaming?
So I guess I'll go first. I got started like many people back in 2011 with the DayZ mod on Arma 2. Discovered Arma 2 through DayZ. Shit, I was probably 13 at the time. Towards like the end of that, I got into, I can't remember whose server it was. I would love to find out. The public Fallujah Insurgency on Arma 2. Always had like 80 or something people on there. Had a great time. And then I got into like the life roleplay thing, and I discovered that the roleplay was kind of cool. And then that segued, Arma 3 launched like a year later, and that segued into getting into Milsim. So like the first like full-time Milsims I started playing was in early Arma 3.
Gotcha. Well, that's a pretty cool story, as a matter of fact. I mean, getting into, I started in Arma 2. That's how I cut my teeth in Milsim, so I can relate to that long history. And then getting into DayZ, and then one thing leads to the next, and here we are. Over a decade later, and you're still going strong. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I really wonder if I would have ever found the game if it weren't for like, oh, check out this DayZ mod. And when we started playing that, I don't know if I ever would have found Arma.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, I'm glad it all came together. So what about the other guys? How'd you get started?
Exact same way. I feel like that's like a rite of passage for the OG Arma guys. You start on DayZ. Arma 2 was dying at that point. 3 came out. I remember being like 14, 15, freshman in high school, and just surrounded by all these like GWAT veterans playing Arma, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. And fast forward 10 years, we're here on 3. Now 3 is on the short end of its life. Yeah, pretty much the same as Gray.
It'll never die.
Yeah, I gotta wonder how. I know it's got many years ahead of in terms of playability and just its base, but we'll see. I mean, we made it this far. Who knows what the future will.
4 has potential, man. It really does.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like the longest wait. We're all kind of watching the clock and counting down, but we'll see.
It's probably going to have a slow build up like Arma 3 did, but I have high hopes for Arma 4 as well.
Absolutely. So, Alvy, how'd you get started?
Well, let's see. 2013, I get out of basic training, and I'm playing like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. After playing like Call of Duty, I was like, man, I want more squad-based. I want more team-based, objective-style gameplay, right? And I had, I first downloaded Arma 3, like a lot of people. Like, I didn't join a unit. I was just trying to experiment around with it. And I think it's cool, but I never really thought about, joining a unit until I was on a public liberation server. And someone really liked how I was conducting myself and I guess liberation, like how I was like trying to be like team based, trying to communicate and all that stuff. And then somebody decided to recruit me into a Navy SEAL unit. And that was like way back in 2013, 2014. And fast forward to now, like, yeah, I've been sticking around in Arma 3 since, been going from unit to unit. And yeah, and I found a great home here.
Gotcha. So yeah, some similarities there, few differences, but end of the day, you guys got into Arma 3. It got in your blood, and like I said, you've been here ever since. So going strong. Really great story. It's always interesting to hear where people come from, their different experiences. What titles, what platforms they're on, who they've been rolling with. But yeah, that's really great background. So here we are, 2025. You guys have the 10th Ranger Regiment. Tell us how you got started with this unit.
So funny enough, this like many other units, this unit has gone through countless iterations. I think this on number 6, um, with varying degrees of who we've picked up people along the way. Going back to 2017 is when I joined the unit. At that point, it was already actually it might have been 2018. It was already an established unit. Um, at that point, there's a couple, very very few people still around from those days. Um, Cockburn, Oswaldo, myself, and Jefferson, to name a few. Um, that went on for, we played that for like a year. Ran into some of the common pitfalls that you'll run into, and ended up parting ways. And then the unit evolved through Jefferson, actually, throughout time, through different brandings. 10th Ranger Regiment is obviously the modern Milsim, but he dabbled in Halo and Vietnam, like long
Vietnam.
range reconnaissance patrols and stuff like that. And then in the early 2020s, I can't remember if it was 2020 or 21, came back again. Pretty good. That was a pretty good run for, I think it was maybe like a year and a half. Same common pitfalls since 2018. We didn't quite perfect the formula. And then 2 years ago, August of 23, we decided to give it another shot. Myself, Jefferson, Beast, Alvy, a couple other people that we picked up through along the way, decided to start it back up. And we've been going sort of, other than a failed Reforger adventure, we've been going strong ever since.
Gotcha. So yeah, you guys, the unit has some history. You've got some history with it, and for all the the kind of the bumps and the obstacles along the way, you made it work. And sounds like you guys got a good group with you, and you're bringing out the best. So it's encouraging. That's the thing. It ain't easy. I mean, running a unit for a year is tough. Running it for 6, 7, 8 years, that takes a lot.
And that is, I'll be honest with you, that is the beautiful thing now, right? I kind of discount the previous iterations, and this time we have perfected the formula, because this is the easiest time I've ever had.
Gotcha.
We got upwards of 15, 20 people that do things, right? Usually it's just a unit leader that does every single thing, right? There's many parts of this that I don't even have to touch, that I don't even have to think about.
That's usually the fastest way a unit would die, is when the unit leader does everything.
Yep. Unless they got that, they can channel that tism for a little bit, and but that's only sustainable. I mean, I've done it. Espino's ran his own unit. Alvy has. I mean, it's not sustainable for long periods of time.
Yeah, definitely. In some cases, sometimes it's like herding cats. Just because that's the thing. You need help. You need support. You need people to delegate your work. So that way you can lighten the load. As they say, many hands make for light work. And when you get down to it, that's what teamwork's all about. So if you want to perform that way in game, it's really beneficial to have that kind of back end, behind the scenes, a team spirit as well.
Yeah.
So what about the Rangers team? You mentioned, some of the kind of evolutions and iterations that you guys tried with the unit over the years. How did you get with 10th Rangers and that style of gameplay?
So the Ranger thing started just, it was back in the day, it was a popular format, right? The special operations infantry, right? Like Rangers were very popular in pop culture at that time, right? It was especially in like the Milsim or military enthusiast communities, right? That was in their heyday, right? Back in the mid 2010s, right? They were famous for many things at that point and throughout the GWAT. But then when we came back and we had the choice, right? We identified that we want to narrow in on a couple things, right? We wanted to be a light infantry unit, right? And like to the dot, other than a couple twice a year exceptions, we are a light infantry unit, right? We air assault, we parachute, we walk, we very very occasionally will drive with equipment that light infantry units would actually use. So then we took that analysis a step further and like, okay, well, it's a video game. How do we add the cool aspect to it? Well, what's the coolest light infantry unit in the world? The 75th Ranger Regiment, right?
There you go.
They are a special operations unit, but at the end of the day, their guidon is blue. They are an infantry unit. They're all 11 Bravos. It is an infantry unit, and that's kind of how we narrowed in on it. It fits the the theme that we want, fits the mission that we want, gives us the equipment diversity that we want, and then it's still an attracting unit theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's many themes that instantly turn people off, and I feel like it's one of the more neutral ones.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, Rangers are high speed, low drag. I think Arma 3 in particular is really amenable to kind of Ranger style gameplay and ops and you name it. So, yeah, it sounds like all the pieces came together and, you went with that theme and you've been going strong ever since. So I got to ask, what's it like, in server, in game? What do your ops look like, and what kind of events and like scheduling do you guys have in the unit?
So we've done a couple different schedules, right? The one constant is that we do our operations on Sundays at 6 p.m.
Hmm.
We try to end at 8 o'clock. It's a 2-hour experience. We end at 8 o'clock and we start at 6. Like we value people's time. Right. Keeping the schedule is a very, very, very important part for us.
Hmm.
And then we do platoon trainings on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time to try to spread the infantry skills, right? So we're going through actual infantry skills, going through battle drills, how to do certain things in a fun and interactive environment. It's not some dude grandstanding telling you how to clear a room for 3.5 hours. It is actual lanes. You're doing the crawl, walk, run for actual skills that you will employ in game. As for the operations themselves, everything is done as a collective. It is a Ranger platoon. They're light infantry operations. We keep it to that. One squad is not going to go 2 clicks away on the other side of the map. They're not going to have their own separate objective. Every objective is for the entire platoon to tackle. So then we employ the small unit tactics as a platoon to assault that objective. So every single squad, every single element is supporting that main mission of raiding a compound. Well, at our size, it's not necessarily just a compound anymore, but a couple compounds, right? But everybody is doing the same thing. So our support by fire, our weapon squad, led by Espino, is establishing the support by fire for the entire platoon, and then the other 3 rifle squads are maneuvering off of that. Espino, you got anything on what our operations look like that I didn't cover?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell guys when they load in for BCT, like the op will always have the same format. You'll load in, your team leader will grab you, he'll tell you what he expects from you personally. He'll make sure, PCCs and PCIs are done, you have the right kit, so there's nothing missing. And then you get briefed as a platoon, just like in real life. You get that big frago from your PL. And then you shoot people in the face for 2 hours. And then afterward, the question is like, did you have fun? We try to follow that format. And then like the little nitty gritty stuff where, like you mentioned, that stuff happens on Tuesdays. So we try to really avoid the person standing in the middle of the room trying to tell everybody how to do something, for 20 minutes while everybody's just sitting there on TikTok on their phone. Like you will load in, if the topic is mind wire obstacle, everybody will have a lane, an individual lane where you will practice grabbing the detonator, blowing the wire, how to put on a fucking wall charge, blow down a wall, how to use a lock popper. You will get to do these things, and it builds that muscle memory so that in an op, you don't feel lost, right? Players get really upset when they get told to do something and they get lost. Anybody does, and they feel stupid. We try to avoid that.
I got you. So, I mean, yeah, you talked about teamwork, from the get-go. You put it in your ops, you put it in your training, and you expect, that to come to fruition on Sunday when you guys are all on that objective. So it's pretty impressive. You talk about the challenges of running a unit. I mean, just having different elements of your platoon all acting in concert with one another. That's a challenge in itself. So definitely takes a lot of work to get everybody up to speed and at that same point.
And that's one of our biggest things. Like I refer to it as an orchestra. Like
Yep.
that's what our ops have arrived at. Like that, we have detailed fires plans beforehand, right? Everything down to phase lines, and things are just happening happening automatically. And it's cool to watch from other people's point of view. Like you see a certain thing happen, somebody crosses their release point, right? As soon as they cross their release point, the weapon squad on the hill is automatically shooting, right? You see all those tracers go out the exact same time mortar rounds are landing, right? Exactly what they're supposed to. Air comes in and destroys the targets they're supposed to all at the same time. So it's exactly like that. It's an orchestra.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it. And I mean, like I said, I've seen some of your vids on YouTube, and yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fire, a lot of maneuver. So definitely, I can understand where you guys are coming from. Now, what about the balance here? You mentioned after an op, you guys will sit down, you'll get some feedback, whether or not everyone had fun, what the issues were, if any. So, I mean, how do you balance the focus on like realism and immersion as a ranger unit with having a good time? I mean, is it all embrace the suck, or it's like do you ever kind of lighten up a little bit depending on the feedback you get?
I think Espino explains this one perfectly, so I'll let
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, they're like again, we tell everybody the same thing when they come in, right? Like a lot of us are in the military. If you've ever been in the military, especially in combat arms, 95% of it fucking sucks. But you live for that 5%, right? Whether like it's that 5% where you get to shoot that 240 on cyclic, like watch the tracer fire go down, or like if you're in an aviation unit where you get to see the helicopter that you just prepped for 2 months, destroy something. So we try to stay away from the stupid shit, right? Where if you come into a BCT, like we believe there are do's and don'ts. So if you come into a BCT in a unit and that BCT is having you do a rifle qual, is that realistic? Sure. But who the fuck cares, right? Like that's a waste of time in our eyes. When they're sitting there like making you watch a video and learn like the diamond formation, like I don't know, stuff like that is just like it doesn't click. It doesn't click. It doesn't translate to anything that you'll be doing in an op. It's a waste of your time. Is it realistic? Maybe, right? But that's not the point. The point is, are you having fun? Do you feel cool while doing it, right? And we have found that most people are having the most fun in Arma when they feel like they're doing something. They feel like they're being productive. They're using a skill set that they're practicing, they're learning, and they're getting as close as possible to dying while not actually dying, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's a fine line in itself in Arma, but anyway.
yeah. So I mean, we teach the platoon assault, right? We're an infantry unit first, right? We make that very clear. Here you will practice doctrine, right? But there's things that we just cut out, right? Like we have an objective. What's the first thing you do in real life? Well, you fucking after you do your mission planning, your troop leading procedures, you set up an ORP and you drop rucks, right? There's units that do that out there. We don't. That's a waste of time, right? We will never make you sit there and wait, right? Especially on someone else. There's guys that have come in and they're like, hey, why do you skip the leader's recce? Well, because there's 60 of us, and on a leader's recce, you have like maybe 7 guys. What are the other 53 going to do, right? So it that's where we cut the realism part. Now, where I think we're special is you come into this unit and you learn things that are real that you would not learn in other units. We have, I mean, we have endless amounts of like real life resources that we use. Our JTACs are trained by a real TACP, right? Like a real JTAC that we have. We have real JFOs in our unit. We have real aviation guys in our unit. We've had real pilots come in. We have a real fixed wing pilot in our unit. Like I'm an infantryman. Gray's an infantryman. Countless different experience, right? And I think that gives you 50% of the foundation, right? And then the other 50% is how does your unit use that to deliver a good experience. Because if we're just going by the book, shit gets boring really quick, especially to the average person, because the average person doesn't care or doesn't appreciate like the little fine lines. You have to make them understand the importance of it. So we teach the battle drills that matter, right? We only teach 3 battle drills: react to contact, squad assault, and then like very briefly, like I make a joke. It's almost like a joke, like react to indirect, right? Like, all right, guys, we're gonna go over react to indirect. Everybody lay down, yell incoming. Cool, you passed, right? Like, that's it. That's all you need to know. Anything else in this game, we believe, is a waste of your time. If it
And
doesn't get you close to that
we're
project.
tracking that there's another part to react indirect, but it's just not. It's not something that like that's one of the things we cut out, right?
Yeah, like, we're not gonna
It's a
tell you to
huge,
get up and run 400 meters. Yeah,
it's a huge example of like what the what we cut out, right? We react to indirect fire, right? Say we're assaulting, right? And we take some mortar fire, right? In no world, I mean, I guess we could, right? But we won't. Are we gonna hit the prone, wait for the mortar rounds to stop dropping, right?
yeah,
And then turn around and move a train feature back, because then the entire flow of the op is gone, right? Like a bunch of people wouldn't really have an issue with it, but that Joe, right, that rifleman in 1-3 Alpha is like, well, I just saw the objective, and now I'm turning around and I'm walking back
yep.
because I heard this
Because they
whistle.
don't
And then
get
they
it,
have a
or they
miserable
don't
time.
appreciate it. Exactly. Yeah. So
Mm.
to answer your question, Brock, like, I think that's what makes or breaks a unit, is that line between, you know, hitting the mark on this is it, this is the perfect balance, and going too far to one side or the other.
I gotcha. Yeah, it is a balance. So yeah, you guys are focusing on what you think is, well, yeah, your priorities, what you think is most important, not only for the mission, but for you know, the guys on the ground to have their have their trigger time and enjoy the whole experience.
Yep.
All right. So you mentioned air, you know, and working with the Ranger platoon. How does aviation contribute to the experience in game?
So
Oh man.
let me preface. All right.
Hmm.
I feel like every unit I've ever been a part of, um, and many others that I've interacted with throughout time have a bad history with aviation, right? They either don't get what they want, right? Air people may be news to everybody, maybe main characters, right? Pilots have big personalities, right? There's always a constant struggle of like, what is air doing? Why are they hitting that? What is going on with that? And over the last 2 years and the last year and a half especially, we have absolutely perfected the formula that we don't run into any of those problems. Our air unit through Alvy, who's the greatest aviator to ever live, Amelia Earhart, um, through Alvy, they receive our mission, right? They receive our demands, like our needs, right? Like what assets do we need for infill? What do we need for follow on? What do we need for sustainment? And executes it to a T. Um, and I'll let Alvy talk through how that process actually works.
Yeah. Uh so contrary to popular belief, I'm not an actual pilot.
Hmm.
Apparently, a word has been getting around that apparently I'm an actual pilot. That's not true. I'm trying to get actual pilots into our unit. You know, have them share their fruits of knowledge. But how how I was able to make it work is exactly the same kind of concept that Army Aviation has with the rest of the ground forces in real life, right? Uh, Army Aviation is a support unit. We support the ground force. It's in our song, it's in our creed, it's in everything, right? And like Gray said, Arma 3 is like plagued with main characters of like people who want to fly over the guys on the ground, and the poor guys on the ground can't hear each other because there is like the sound of rotors that are going off like right over them, right?
Hmm.
But we in Task Force Apollo, that's what we call ourselves. We revolve around the idea that because aviation is a support unit and we solely exist, or every MOS exists for the grunts on the ground, right? Like, our priority is to ensure that we still maintain the idea of like a ground centric operation, ground centric campaign, ground centric everything, right? So, what it normally looks, if I could dial back a bit, what it normally looks like uh, on the air side when we go into an operation is obviously I allow all of the pilots to listen in on the leader's brief, because that's where the magic happens. That's when all the big brains like bring their ideas together, but air remains silent. The pilots remain silent unless if they get called upon, because what us pilots do while all that stuff is happening is that we're analyzing what is the ground force commander's intent. You're going to hear me say that a lot. What is the ground force commander's intent? Because they maintain the op tempo. They're the ones who are tackling the objective. Air's job and priority is to ensure that they can meet it through our assistance if possible. And like, I don't know, Gray gives me a lot of credit, but I also give quite a few credit to some people who have came through 10th Rangers. But as far as realism concerned, we do answer to a JTAC who is constantly at the hip of the ground force commander. We do our 9 lines, we do our 5 lines. If we're not shooting at something, we're always conducting ISR. We're always having eyes on the ground from the sky, giving constant updates to the ground force, and basically making sure that the ground force commander meets his intent, because it's really all it's about, you know.
Hmm. Well, that's pretty impressive. And I mean, it sounds like you're taking a mature approach to this. I mean, yeah, we've got some characters in Arma. I mean, Milsim in general, there's no doubt about that. And that, I guess to an
Oh
extent,
yeah.
that's part of the internet. But you're able to keep control of not only your flying, but also your interactions and your support with the rest of the unit there. I mean, that is totally, selfless, team focused, 100% all in. So, and it can be rare. I know, obviously, I've spoken to a lot of unit leaders and, just people around the community. It can be rare for all the good units out there. There are a lot of other ones that are struggling to bring other people together and getting them on the same page. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and on the other side of that too as well, right? Like how we're so good at our craft and making sure that we do everything right. We also understand, and this is going back on Gray's point, and making sure that we provide an immersive experience and a fun experience to everybody in the game. We in Air are no strangers to what we like to call 4 Whiskey Bravo, but that's a fun way of calling it a fourth wall break. You know what I
mm,
mean?
mm,
Like, we need to make sure that the op runs smoothly, right? Because everybody knows in Arma that a guy in a helicopter loaded with hundreds of pounds of ordnance, or in a fucking A10 loaded with so many GBUs, can literally wipe the entire map in less than a few seconds, and it's not fun for everybody, right?
right.
Like, we understand, like, hey, things may get spawned in. Hey, we understand this might happen. This might look funky, but we need to let this convoy through so the infantry can kill it, right? Like, we, everybody in Air understands that, and we are truly part of the immersive experience. Everything from allowing guys to engage large objectives without having Air go through it and clean it all up. Everything from shining giant sparkles from and through the night sky to pinpoint something that is approaching them from the rear. And personally, what I take pride in of my pilots and Task Force Apollo is that whenever we do any type of training, whenever we do any type of insertion flight, we try our damn best to look the best for the guys on the ground. Yeah, we look good in the air from our perspective, but if you look at all of our clips, especially from the ground perspective, you'll see my guys flying in formation, tight formation, like doing tandem line of sight strikes with guns and rockets, and it just completes the symphony, and all while meeting the ground force commander's intent.
Yeah, it's great. Really professional approach to aviation, and it's what I'd like to see more of. To be honest with you, regardless of what title you're on, having some really great aviation that just kind of meshes and just flows without, like you said, dominating the whole map in a matter of minutes. That's definitely what I like to see, and it does make for some good fireworks.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've learned a lot already about where you guys came from, where you've gotten up to this point, and what it's like to be in game, on server, on and off with you. What about behind the scenes, after hours on the Discord? How would you describe the culture and camaraderie within 10RR?
So this is one of our stronger suits as well. It is it's somewhat hard to put it, right. We have a community that is very like what you'd see in actual combat arms, right?
Hmm.
We are very close without forming niches, right? If you know what I mean. Like some places you go into, these four guys, air's a niche, right? They don't talk to anybody else, right?
Right.
Those weirdos in the recon section, right? They don't talk to anybody else, right? They just talk about Barretts and what kind of optic they're gonna run. So we have a community that is very close, but maintains like squad identity, right? There's different cultures per squad. They've just been together for so long, right? Their squad leader's been in place for so long, and then within air as well, right? So we just have a large amount of people that are close together without making it uninviting for new people, unless they're weird. And I'll get into that. But it creates this perfect blend that the community itself is self-policing, right? Like if you look through our stuff, we don't have any wordy documents on like rules, expectations, right? Anything like that. It's all institutionalized and policed by the community. Right? So there is no like, you have to wear multicam, right? You have to look like a ranger, right? The option's not necessarily there. There's still some stupid stuff in the arsenal that you could, but it's policed by the community. So like Espino, the weapon squad, every single one of those dudes will have a scrim helmet on, right? And camo face paint, right? It's kind of like it's their identity, right? It's something that they police internally.
And the same combat shirt.
And the same combat shirt.
Yep.
It's something that they police internally, and that extends to the entire Discord. Like was touched on earlier, we have easily 30 plus veterans. Easily, might be closer to 40. Within our active unit and our reserves and just our friends and stuff like that. We have a large amount of veterans from every walk of life, from infantry officers to TACPs to aircraft maintainers to everything in between. So it creates this real world knowledge base, right? So there's not many know-it-alls, right? I'm sure you have to have run into this in your time playing Arma, Brock. Like the holier than thou. Well, that type of infantryman doesn't actually run a Carl Gustav. All right, well, we have an answer for that. You're wrong.
According to this
right?
picture in 2017, Ranger Regiment was actually using MP7s during this time.
I got you. Yep.
Yeah. So we have the answer for that. That's something that you will not see, right? There's one know-it-all. His name is Shane Heber. His cousin was a F-15 test pilot. That's the only know-it-all.
He's the only authorized main character in our unit.
But yeah, it's just it is not from the ground forces, from the actual Neptune platoon. It's not something that you'll see within the culture, right? You're not going to have some a well actually type of person, this sort of thing. Everybody is super helpful, super knowledgeable, and willing to help, willing to teach.
Yeah, it's
Espino, you got
important.
anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, you walk into an infantry barracks, like the first 15 minutes of conversation, if you could hear all of them at once, is basically what the 10th Ranger is after hours. Like it's a lot of different people, man. Like you said, we have like infantry officers, we have infantrymen, we have guys that were tankers, like, and they're all different. They all have different personalities. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of checks and balances. The hardest part about Milsim is balancing these personalities,
Right.
right? Like getting the people that you put in leadership positions with you, that are shoulder to shoulder with you, to see the same vision as the unit commander.
Hmm.
That's the hardest part. And then it gets tricky when you try to police people, because we're not. I mean, this is a game. We're not on their contract, right?
Right.
Like in real life, your leadership owns your life, right? This is not real life. So we have to sell them on our idea. And the easiest way is we don't take ourselves too seriously, and our attitude at the top trickles down. And we make sure that it does, right?
Hmm.
Like if somebody comes into our unit and they're like, "Oh, I have 5,000 hours. Like I did this, I did that. Real life, I did this." It's like cool, but are you a cool person to talk to, right? Like, can you
Hmm.
work well with others? Can you humble yourself, right? Like, and and we find that it's unfortunate, but sometimes these guys they see themselves out, right? Like we do not kick people out of our unit. We do not take disciplinary action. That is not a thing in our unit. We don't even have a rule channel. You know how you join Milsim units like Gray Side and there's a giant fucking channel. It's got all these rules and like
Yep.
the holy testaments. We don't have that. It's very common sense, right? There's a high tolerance for things. It's just people join and they realize like, okay, here I can just be myself. I don't have to sell myself to anyone. I just have to buy in on their idea and play the game, and I'll have fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, ego that'll poison a lot of things. Certainly leadership, and it sets a bad example for everyone else. But you guys got it under control, and just with that again, with that kind of professional attitude, seeping through, you're bringing out the best and kind of cutting the worst out at the same time. So I got to ask, and I always like to do this. We talked about your ops, the experience in game, some of the fireworks. But with 10RR in mind, I mean, do you have any funny or unexpected moments, that happened? It could be an op during a training event. It's like anything stand out that's a little bit on the lighter side.
We got
All
we
of them.
got we got plenty.
Mm.
Yeah, we got
Um,
somebody.
so our thing, right, is that we are gay. All right, every single one of us, every single person that comes in here, right, we all love each other in a non-platonic way. And at some point in the spring, right. And by the way, if anybody wants to check me, there's a picture of me kissing Espino, so I'm allowed to say I am gay, right? But at some point, we started the Lord's Prayer, right before operations. Everybody bows their head, and everybody says the. It's kind of like a. Are you familiar with Milsom West?
No, I mean I'm familiar
Right.
with it, but I've never been there. So,
So at the we actually just all recently went to Milsom West together.
no kidding.
But before that, like there's a speech given by I can't remember what his name is. I think it's Josh Warren.
Josh, yeah, is
Um,
the ranger.
he gives a speech at the end that is pretty much like tries to break you from this character.
I'm a silly
right?
war nerd that plays silly war games.
Yeah, like it
Yo,
breaks you. It breaks you from the character, right? That like, especially out there, everybody's all dressed up in multicam. They're taking themselves super seriously. They spent thousands of dollars and all this stuff, right? It's the same thing in game, right? We're all dressed up. There's people yelling, right? There's people taking it really seriously because we have 60 dudes to wrangle to accomplish a mission. And it kind of breaks the monotony of that to remember that it is actually a video game and there's nothing that you really need to get too upset about,
Hmm.
right? So we have the Lord's Prayer. You say you're gay 3 times, and you say I love men, right? And it's true. We all love each other, right? It's actually one of our. It's on our YouTube channel. It's one of our more popular ones, the Lord's Prayer. Um, but we started that sometime in the spring, and we do it every op, and it does its job. Like we break the monotony before we actually step off and our
In
series.
fact, it's considered bad luck if you don't start off with the Lord's Prayer, because
It
that's
is.
when bad things happen during off.
Yeah.
I can recall an instance where we did not say it.
I was gonna say you need
um,
that blessing. Zeus can only take you so far. So.
Yeah.
actual funny, like unexpected things, right? And this is just like another thing, like pulling you out of that, pulling you out of the mindset, and making you realize it's a game for a second. Laughing
Hmm.
is Espino at least once an op will call me up or will yell at me, and I'm like locked in, I'm like like deep into it, and he just goes, "You're a pussy." And I'm like, yeah, Roger.
1614, how copy? Yeah, Roger, solid copy, send traffic. Yeah, Roger, 16, you're a pussy, over.
Shit, I'm trying to remember like other specific instances.
Yeah, tell them about the one where we got hit by a V-bid and my entire squad was on fire and we were screaming out the top of our lungs.
Oh,
Shit.
So are you familiar with Farquhar Valley?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
You know that super vertical town that's
Yeah.
out in the valley on the right-hand side?
Yeah.
So we did our twice-a-year vehicle op. We did a rolling raid. Every squad had an objective, like had a target building pretty much. So we rolled into the town, right, and kind of zippered off, hit our target buildings. 1-4, the weapon squad was all the way up on the north side of it, by those two towers. That's right. So we complete all of our actions on, right. We're setting up security. We're consolidating prisoners and stuff like that. Setting up the HLZ for where the prisoners are going to be. We start taking QRF from the north and from the south. And a V-bid comes down that road, and there's those two towers on the north side. The V-bid goes off, blows up the two towers, drops them on 1-4, and I look down the road, and every single dude in the weapon squad is on fire, screaming at the top of their lungs. Like, not the in-game scream. They're all just screaming. Every single one of them screaming, rolling around on the ground.
I had like a brand new Joe come up to me. This guy had just become a CLS. And I'm rolling on the ground on fire, and he's like telling me to stand still so he can treat me. And I just keep rolling and screaming. And he's like looking around like, I don't know what to do here.
Fight or flight,
Meanwhile,
man.
in error, meanwhile in error, we're just watching the entire thing from the bird's eye view through a FLIR camera, and I'm sorry if it's sacred to some people, but it's been 20 years. Like, we've been making 9/11 jokes, man. Like, man,
I never forget.
Hit the second tower. Never forget. Never forget one.
Yeah.
October 10th, never forget. 10th Ranger Regiment.
That's funny. So yeah, I can tell you guys have a good time together for all your seriousness and your dedication and that professionalism I mentioned. That's a great insight to how you balance that load between being super hardcore and then having a good time as a bunch of friends. All right.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, some good shit. So, I'm gonna, kind of change tack and get a little bit more serious again. But you mentioned earlier, the history of 10RR, the ups and downs, your engagement with the unit and outside. So I got to ask, I mean, what are some of the challenges, running 10RR, and how did you overcome them? I mean, it's like, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to share to give some of your insights out?
There's actually, I could write a book at this point. I mean, there's a million different things that go into it, right? That are a lot are done subconsciously now, right? That leads to our success. There's a couple notable challenges, right? I could talk about. One of the biggest ones is the actual organization of the unit, and it was one of the larger pitfalls in the previous iterations, right? And one of the larger pitfalls in just units I've participated with in the past, that Espino and Alvy have participated with in the past, is the actual organization of the unit, right? And it was one of those things that we tackled on day one. We've had minor hiccups with it here and there, but it is one of the biggest challenges that we met head on, and has led to, a large portion of our success is based off of this, right? And it's the organization, right? What actually makes up 10th Ranger Regiment, right? What actually makes up Neptune Platoon, right? And what we identified as a problem is useless positions, right?
Yep.
Every position that is on our MTO, that is on our roster, is a in-game position that is actually doing something, right? And that is in the realm of realism. So what that means, for all practicality, since I am the unit leader, but I'm also the ground force commander, is that there's nobody above me. There's no company command, right? Because we do not have two platoons. It is one oversized platoon, right? That company level position, right, of a first sergeant, a company commander, an XO, what are those dudes doing in game? You know what I mean? That is a common pitfall we had in earlier iterations, that the company commander, the XO, the first sergeant comes in game, and you see him running by in a ghillie suit. You're like, what the fuck? Who the fuck was that? Right? Or the platoon leader is trying to win a fight, right? He's trying to maneuver his dudes, and he has the company commander who's standing over there in the ghillie suit trying to tell him what to do. You only have one platoon, right? A company commander at minimum is controlling, three platoons,
Right.
right? There's nothing really for that guy to do, right? And then
Yeah.
that translates. Go on.
You see this a lot in like every unit, especially when they first start up. They build the wrong way. Like if this unit right now were to lose all of its members and be left with 13 people, Gray would be a sergeant. He'd be a squad leader. And we would work our way from the bottom up. Whereas like other units, a common mistake that we see is they all like each other. They all want to give somebody like a piece of the pie. So you have a unit of 35 people, and you have 15 people in an HQ. You have a company commander and a first sergeant. What the fuck does a first sergeant do in Milsim? Like, are you fucking?
Brock can answer
I
that question.
was gonna say, hey man, careful there.
Well, you guys were huge. Did you guys actually run with multiple platoons?
We ended up, I mean, when I joined up, there was like 21 guys in the unit. We grew up to, when I was the first sergeant, we had 100 plus at one point. So running 80.
Now imagine if you were a first sergeant in a unit with 30 people. What are you doing?
That's ridiculous. You're standing there looking at my tablet the whole time. So
exactly. So that's a common thing that we see is like these useless, we call them like secret squirrel positions, where everybody just wants to be special, right? And that just can't happen. It cannot happen. So we're very good at that. Grave, you want to touch on the Zeusing? That's another thing that we're very good at. The way that we manage Zeus.
Like the final thing on like the organization, right, is other than like those command positions, right, and the byproduct of that is that there's one dude, right? Like I have a great relationship with every single person in the unit, right? This is not a place where I am God, right? There's many times I've changed my mind. There's many times that I've had my mind changed, right? But there's one actual authority, right? Instead of like a mishmash of, this dude's the ground force commander, but this dude's the unit leader, but this dude's the company XO, right? Who do you actually? There's way too many hands in that cookie jar, right? Whereas here it's unified, right? Now we have a team, but at the beginning it was absolutely just me, right? Like, and it has to be when you have 20 people, you can't have 3 decision makers, right?
Right.
Now we have that luxury as a mature, large organization to have multiple people that can make decisions and to disseminate that responsibility. Especially early on, it's just not possible. And the other thing on the organization is the lack of bloat, or like we call them like secret squirrel or Boy Scout positions, right? Like we don't have reconnaissance, right? The way that we get around that is that we emulate how a Ranger platoon would actually, well, they wouldn't do it, but how their intelligence would actually be given to them, right? And in reality, we just do it through Zeus, right? And we do it through the game masters working with me, right? Because the game masters are not a separate entity, right? They report to me. I will change anything that I do not think is acceptable. But pretty much what we do is we simulate the fact that there's human intelligence, there's signals intelligence, there's ISR assets over for weeks, right? We know the first and last name and date of birth of every single person in that village, right? Because that's real shit. Like that's real shit. They're not going to go conduct a raid on something that they do not have a target package on, right? They do not understand the AO, right? Now, I mean, there's instances out there where they don't, but it's something that we cut out. There's no There's no reconnaissance, right? There's no people that do not fit. If they do not fit into a platoon assault, right, they will never have a place in the unit.
Gotcha. Well, you touched on something there that's important. A lot of the units, enough units that I've seen, they kind of start going top down instead of building up from the
Exactly.
ground up,
Yep.
and that's yeah. You got generals leading, a squad,
Yep.
admirals leading,
And
one team of SEALs. So
it's a I wanted to say this when Espino started. It's a numbers game, right?
hmm.
Especially as when we looked about it earlier, right? If you have 30 people online, right? You look at the team speak, right, for your actual number. You have 30 people online. If 75% of those are not shooters, right, or team leader and below, because I would still consider a team leader a shooter, right? If 75% of those are not team leader and below, you have a problem,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because you just do not have enough people to fire a maneuver, right? If you're at like 50-50, like half your people are pilots, Zeus, and then these other like random things that are not rifle squads, weapon squad. You start to
So you
run
got the
into
quarter of your fucking dudes inside of a battalion talk.
we
Right.
start to run into a
Yeah.
problem. The other major challenge that we overcame that Espino had mentioned is the Zeus challenge, right? Is how do game masters interact with the community? How do they deploy their campaign? How do they carry themselves? Um, and it's something that we started doing subconsciously a while, really from the beginning. But now is like a set in stone rule, right? So now we operate with a Zeus team. We have so many people. We have so many shooters, right? I mean, you have 10 aircraft in the sky, right? At max capacity, we have we've had 3 Apaches up, fixed wing, DAPs, right? There's a lot of shooters in the sky, and then you come down on the ground, and there's 50 individual rifles, 50 individual barrels, right? All of those dudes have the capacity to shoot one AI every second, right? Is that how it works? No. But if everybody is actively engaged, they're killing a lot of dudes. It's a video game, right? It is not a Reforger's a different story, right? That's something that we were talking about earlier. Like
Sure.
less
Yeah.
will be more in Reforger because it's just so dense.
Yeah, it's
But in
closer
Arma
to the real
3,
thing.
it's way closer to the real thing.
Yeah.
But in Arma 3, right, it takes a lot of bandwidth for Zeus is to keep everybody engaged. And that's a big thing for us, like people having fun, is you're here to shoot, right? If you're a rifleman, you're an automatic rifleman, you want to be shooting. You don't want to be sitting there holding your dick, pulling security, facing out. Is it something that you do? Absolutely. But you'll also be shooting in that. So that being said, like our Zeuses have creative freedom, right? Within reason. Um, we ask for actual realistic infantry tasks for us to go do, right? So what that means is like every op is not a hostage rescue or something that's better suited for a smaller amount of people. They're actual infantry tasks. They're large enough for a platoon to maneuver. Um, they fill the 2 hours, and that they're planned from start to finish. A lot of Zeus's like to, and we've had people like this in the past, and we still incorporate it occasionally, but we do not like to do hip pocket stuff, right?
Hmm.
When we do them. They're kind of pre-planned. We know it's going to happen. We know that's the kind of op it's going to be. But like, for example, a helicopter crashes a click away. That's their problem. That's not my problem. I have 60 dudes already assaulting an objective. They are not turning and going to rescue that pilot. Right. That is one of the things that we simulate. Right. There's another platoon somewhere out there. They'll go get that guy. We don't do hip pocket stuff like we got intel on this objective. All right, now we're gonna go here. And the reason for that is that okay, we just occupied this objective, right? We just set up our security. We just found out about another objective a kilometer away. What now has to happen to have the same quality, right? The same product that we just delivered. What has to happen? We have to sit and stop for at least minimum of 10 minutes and plan the next objective.
Right.
And then we got to get everybody up to speed, right? And by the time that happens, you're already 25 minutes past, right? and you're running out of time. And during that time, those dudes, those saw gunners, those riflemen, those grenadiers,
They get
they're just
bored.
sitting there. Yep.
Yep.
They're like, what am I doing? There's four
It
dudes
kills
talking to each
tempo.
other. Yep.
Kills tempo.
So that's something that like we don't really allow from Zeus teams, right? We like creativity. We like on the fly additions, right? But we will not change the trajectory of the operation.
Gotcha.
The other big thing on the Zeus side is a lot of our stuff is built, through organization, through interactions, and also through the Zeus team. A lot of our stuff is built to reduce animosity, right? And what I mean by that is like there's no people with special stuff, right? Just like on the ground, everybody's wearing multicam. Everybody roughly has the same equipment, right? There's plenty of variety, but you're welcome to use it, right? But there's no dudes wearing multicam black, right? Because they're Delta Force or some shit like that.
Right.
It's the same thing with the Zeus, right? If we allow our Zeuses to speak in AARs, right, or interact with the community, it will build animosity, right?
Yep.
Some dude will be like, "Oh, I got blown up 20 minutes into the op," and he's like, "Haha, that was me with a rocket truck." All right, bro, you are literally God, right? You are literally God. You can kill anybody at any point, right? It's not cool. The philosophy on the Zeus side is that they are there for the same reason I am, and that's to make sure that the other people having the op have fun, or other people playing the op have fun. So like the Zeuses they're not remote controlling, or if they are, they're suppressing, right? They will never kill anybody through remote control.
Yeah.
I think there was an accident, a jump scare a couple weeks ago with an RPG or some shit like that. It'll happen on occasion, but like our Zeuses are not out there PvPing you.
Yeah. And they definitely won't come back and talk about it. Like that we view that as a huge negative thing in Milsim. It just builds disdain, because then when you have a Joe come in like a saw gunner and they get clapped the next op, whether or not it was Zeus controlled or not, that guy's gonna be thinking, okay, that's the Zeus that just killed me. And that's a negative thing in his eyes, because he wants to go against AI with his friends. He doesn't want to get 1v1 by a Zeus.
It's definitely the same thing in air. Like, no pilot, like every pilot, especially in our unit, they're in the zone. They're constantly looking through the flare. They're constantly scanning, constantly trying to give the ground force commander updates. But nobody likes getting shot out of the sky all of a sudden.
Yep.
Like, that's why like we appreciate so much like clarity and transparency with the Zeus team and the ground force commander, and understanding, hey, what are we getting into? Because if we know that there's going to be man pads or any type of AAA threat inside of an AO, which, I mean, righteously, as a premier aviation unit that has 160th in it, or supporting an SOF unit, you'd think that a unit like us would probably have near 100% intel of what type of weaponry is inside that AO. And with that being said, if there is something in the AO, yeah, we put in the measures to ensure that we do not get engaged by those anti-air threats, right? But just like the infantry, like they don't like getting all of a sudden like exploded out of nowhere or getting shot out of nowhere when they're doing everything right. Like, just like in air, we don't appreciate getting shot down like all of a sudden because the Zeus wants to be like, oh, all of a sudden the Russians are coming in. Like, cool, dude. Why didn't we know of this like weeks prior when they were assembling a huge force to go ambush us or something? Like, it's that type of
That's all it does.
it may be cool. Yeah, it may be cool to the Zeus, but it's not cool to the players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff that we try to steer away from.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that like the Zeuses are not fighting the players, and they are damn sure not fighting air.
Gotcha.
It just like air. 160th SOAR is not flying in a contested environment where they have Tunguskas. That's not happening. Right, so it's another thing that we simulate out of the game. The way for the Zeuses to fight air is through words. Talk to them, right? They are there to serve us. They're there to serve the unit. Talk to them. Let them know what you need. Hey, you're killing too much shit. Usually I do that right? I'm just aware of what is going on, who is not shooting, right? What QRFs are being destroyed. But it is something that the Zeus's communicate with to Alvy, like, hey, we need to stop shooting for a second, right? So we'll either go give them something else to do, or everybody else go cold for a little bit. Let some QRFs go through, let it ramp up a little bit for the ground force.
And that goes back to the 4 Whiskey Bravo concept that I was talking about earlier. Like, I tell the Zeus's, and not just here, but any unit I ever visit or go to, like, full transparency is key to ensuring that, like, yeah, immersion is important to some people, but number one priority is gameplay, making sure everybody has a good time, you know?
Great perspectives. So beyond that, beyond the your kind of unit operations, do you have any interactions with the broader community? I mean, whether you're playing on another server or hanging out in the Milsim Units Discord, or what do you have kind of behind the scenes in terms of your presence with with respect to other units out there?
Yeah, so we have some close relationships with other units. We have a talking relationship with many people. Um, our aviation unit, Task Force Apollo, plays for another unit, right? They are integrated the same way that they are for us, for the 11th Airborne. They play on Saturdays, we play on Sundays. Our air unit flies for both of them. We've also, in the spring, this was actually like when I went on hiatus, but we organized a joint ACM training. Like I said, I went on a little hiatus. I'm not sure how many different units turned up to it. But when we were organizing it, it was like 6, 7, or something. Okay, I can't believe I said that. It was 6 or 7 during that time that did a joint ACM training. It is definitely something that we are interested in doing. Right, we're too large to do joint operations, and we have too many, as you can probably guess at this point, we have too many specific parameters. Right, we are very specific on how we do things, how we conduct ourselves, how operations flow. But like joint training stuff is something that we are always very, very interested in. Whether either it is just plussing up numbers, right, to get more people out there doing a training event, or to share or learn specific skills from other people. It's a good way to interact with other people in the community, learn things about the game, learn things about other people, and just there's no negative to knowing more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you nailed that one. So yeah, you guys, you've got. I mean, you're solid. You're up and running for many years now, and you're growing those relationships within the community there. So that's great. And yeah, I mean, joint training ops. It's kind of a rarity in a lot of respects. It's. I mean, obviously, we host. Milsim Units host joint ops. We'd like to get different units on server, but training, I'm all for it. I think the harder you train, the better you perform on game day. But yeah, anybody else listening up to the podcast, any leaders in the audience here, keep that in mind. Joint training events, that's possible. I mean, you're in game if you enjoy Milsim. I think it's worth a shot, and yeah, I think it could help you do a better job when you get into your combat ops. So yeah, that's great. Now, what about the future of 10RR? Where do you guys see yourself next year? Let's say we're coming to the end of 2026. What's the unit going to look like?
Um, so right now we are at a sustainment phase, right?
Hmm.
The only other option for growth is to add a second platoon, and I just don't think it is. We kind of all agree as a collective it's not really a feasible thing for Arma 3, right? We use crazy mods, right? It is not the most optimized experience, right? And the only way to add the second platoon is to degrade the experience from the mod perspective and kind of dumb things down.
Hmm.
And then we're unsure of how that would actually benefit us, right? So the point we arrived at is that this is it, right? We have 4 squads. We have 3 maneuver squads. They're actually plussed up. I think the max MTO on them is like 12, right? So it's a little bit larger than a actual squad would be. We have our weapon squad. We have our mortar section, which is 5 people. It will always remain at 5 people. They have 2 tubes, 2 60mm tubes. And then we have a sniper section that is 5 people total, 2 teams. And that's pretty much it. Um, in a year, I see ourselves at the same point, really, just developing the skills further, right? What I would like to see is not from any organizational or anything standpoint, is just that we go to more of a team leader driven environment. We're slowly starting to get to that point, but right now we are largely squad leader driven, right? Our competence comes from the squad leader, right? They are directing everything. And in a year, I would like to be at the point where it's team leaders are the source of competence for the entire unit, right? When you
Gotcha.
when you are a rifleman, you're an automatic rifleman. You're looking for the guidance, the end all guidance. It's your team leader,
Hmm.
right? And that just opens the door to many more complex operations that we can do throughout time. But yeah, hopefully still kicking. Hopefully still got the same numbers. I mean, recruitment will probably be close at that point. But really just more competent at the team level. I mean, Espino, all of you guys got anything on that?
No, I think you said it extremely well.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's pretty much it. The only thing that we could really do from this point is uh, allowing other people to enrich themselves and or explore our formula of how we do Milsim if they ask for it, like giving any type of unwanted advice, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
or like any type of that, like it's you know you, people know how that usually goes, but like as far as like people who are willing to explore a different approach on how to uh like lead or balance the fine line between realism and understanding that this is just a game and making sure that people have a good experience. Like on the air side, I'm definitely open to like having people like explore that realm. But Gray pretty much said it best. Like we're pretty much at the point where we want to be, and yeah, just it's all we gotta do is just keep doing it from here.
Gotcha. So yeah, you got a good thing going, and you're gonna hold on to it, develop your leaders, and like you said, maintain that sustainment. So what about the Milsim experience in general? It's like we were talking about Arma 4, Bellum's in development and it's in closed alpha now. So there's other titles that are kind of coming up and capturing a lot of our attention here. What innovations or changes do you think would enhance or improve the experience going forward?
So we actually with our mod team, we actually had this discussion on like wish list items, right? Because I
Hmm.
think many of them really just comes down to game limitations, right, or
Sure.
mods to the
Yep.
game,
Yep.
right? And other than like some minor things, right, refining our mods, right, tweaking things that we want to tweak. There's not much left to do in Arma 3, right? Unless they somehow optimize this game even further, there's not much left in the realm of Arma 3 that I don't think there is. Um, I don't think we'll see any um, game changing mods or anything like that or overhauls in the next year or so. Um, but I think the innovation, right, and we've already seen it with Reforger. We dabbled in Reforger, but we've already experienced it. Is that Reforger and Arma 4 will be the best Milsim experience there has ever been, right?
Hmm.
If they polish it to the level of Arma 3, right? Um, it's actually a pitfall that we identified, right? Is it's real shit, right? Like we went out there, we did an op. I think what we have like 2 squads. It was like 20 something people,
Yeah, it's like two
um,
squads.
and it was real shit. Like I felt like I was still in the army. I felt like I was running a lane
Hmm.
because the terrain is dense, right? The foliage is dense. The most important thing is the scaling is real, right? Arma 3 has that messed up scaling, right? Reforger and Arma 4 has real scaling, right? So you have a 200-meter wide ODA. That's a problem, right? Arma 3, you can just wedge out go right through it, right?
Hmm.
Instead of your security elements, go right through it. Reforger, Arma 4, that's a problem. It's going to take you some time to get through that, right? And Arma 4 and Reforger has a potential for less is more, right? So you have this dense terrain, right, that doesn't go away at distance, right? And the dense foliage. One machine gun team can pin down an entire platoon,
Hmm.
right? And that is actually a problem that you have to work. You will have to fire maneuver as a platoon to destroy one machine gun team just by nature of the game. That's the biggest thing, is that the innovation will be the release of Arma 4, right, which also has some of the most incredible mod tools that I've ever seen. The limitations are the possibilities are endless for the mod tools on that game, and it just increases the ease of use for more unique things. But yeah, the innovation is just going to be Arma 4 when it comes out. If they can reach the same level of polish, which I'm still hopeful for, right? Just, there's a lot of quality of life in Arma. I mean, we've been playing this for 12 years. They've been developing this for 12 years. But I'm excited to see what that future holds.
Yeah, most definitely. And one of the great things about the Bohemia devs is that they have their thumb on the pulse of the Arma community, the whole Milsim community. I mean, they have great comms, open to feedback. They work with modders and just people, content creators across the community. So they're taking all this in, and who knows, we might have some guys from Bohemia, or at least some people they know, listen to this podcast. It's happened before. Kind of taking stock of your perspectives here, and what our hopes and expectations, and what our wishes are for the future of Arma and the community. So yeah, I'm excited. It's like I talk about it just about every podcast. I'm pumped. I cannot wait. Reforger's coming along. Like I've said, I don't have quite the experience that a lot of our compatriots have, because I've been in Arma 3 pretty hard, particularly the last few years. But yeah, I cannot wait. I have very high expectations. I just, the experience, the maps, just everything. So yeah, we'll see what comes. It's countdown. It won't be much longer. We just got to hold on another year or so.
Yeah, I think they said summer 2027.
Right. Yeah.
Like
So yeah, less than 2 years now.
yep.
It seems like a long time, but
the coolest thing, right? If you remember back from the transition from 2 to 3, there was nothing ready, right? I think Ace
exactly.
came
Yeah.
out like late 2013.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It took a couple of years to get everything that we're used to in all of our ops now.
But now RHS will be there day one.
Yep.
Right. That's like one of the most complete mods I've ever seen. Right. They outdid themselves from Arma 3. I mean, we should have stuff ready to go day one. That should be pretty cool.
Yep, absolutely. It's definitely going to make it a whole different experience, from the get-go. All right. Well, yeah. With all that, you know, you guys, like you were saying at the beginning, you've been in Milsim gaming for many years now. What what's your favorite part about Milsim? I mean, what is it that keeps you coming back? From it's like you're in the unit. You take a break, discharge, so to speak. You come back. I mean, what is it that has got you guys, roped in all these years?
Dudes, I love dudes.
Yeah, mainly just dudes. So that's actually that for me. It's actually evolved, right? Because myself and Espino, right? We both had the same track, right? I started playing Milsim before I joined the army, right?
Same.
And then joined the army, was an infantryman for 4 years.
I joined the army
And
because
then
of Milsim.
yeah, me as well. Like I just like what he said earlier about like meeting the hardcore GWAT vets, right? Like
Yep.
that's what like back in 2013, 2014, like my squad leader was active duty 7th group, right? He was a Green Beret, right? Like that dude was like my idol at 14 years old, right? Back in those days, it was definitely like the novelty, right? Cool environment. It was like seeing all the cool stuff go on, right? Military game, you can play Barbie. You're surrounded by all these people. But then it evolved, towards the end of my service, towards getting out, right, to today. Now it does a good job of emulating, what it's like, right? You have a camaraderie, right? You have the same people. You have people that you like being around, right? And you create a product really. I mean, like that's what keeps me going, right? Is like I can the fruit of my labors can directly make 40 people have fun, 50 people have fun every Sunday night,
Hmm.
right? In a cool environment, right? You see the videos, right? You see all the clips and stuff like that. Like, we built that, right? Like we built that. It wasn't a headache, right? We had no problems. That's cool as shit. You got anything on that, Espino or Alvy? Other than dudes, but I know we all love dudes.
Yeah. No, I just love the craft, man. Like
Hmm.
there's guys that play this game that I've met throughout the years, and unfortunately they play it to like their Milsim experience is just feeling like they're in charge of others, like pinging people and putting out announcements for like stupid shit or passing rules and judgment and all this stuff. Like I love the craft.
Hmm.
There's nothing better than infantry fire maneuver.
Yeah.
Yeah, what keeps me in the Milsim game is always that shared collective experience of accomplishing and tackling a goal where everybody can just revel in sharing because like they prep for it, they trained for it, they put all this time and effort, and everybody was one cog in the giant machine that just created this product. And like Grace said, being in the Milsim scape for like a while now, we're kind of at the point where like now we want to share this experience with others, especially those who really want to explore this type of realism that we made. And I honestly don't take the term realism lightly, but we found the balance between like this is true to life and like what you would expect in the military without all the dumb and obviously the like the real implications of dying, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But
Yep.
like also all the dumb stuff where like we're just sitting around twiddling on our phones waiting for the next thing to do because it's all hurry up and wait in the real life, right?
Right.
Like
Yep.
a lot of us with active military and uh National Guard over here, like a lot of us with that type of experience understand like how mundane that can be, you know.
Yep. Yeah, some great perspectives, some real big picture thinking there. You guys, you started many years ago, worked your way up, and yeah, it's like you've got a whole different view on the experience. What makes it work and how to have fun doing it. So that's great. Now, what about the people in our audience who are thinking about getting into milsim? I mean, maybe we're talking about a high school student who's thinking about joining up, or we've got active duty or vet who is kind of they're missing out on some of that experience that they had in real life. What advice do you have for somebody who is new to the community and they're looking to get started?
So this is some of that we've actually talked about recently. And it becomes very apparent. I'm sure you're aware around like big sale times, right? Like when Arma's $2,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I'm sure this is a problem on Reforger, right? Is that Arma Milsim? I'm not really familiar with other Milsims, but Arma Milsim is a unique experience that I can't really pick out anything else that's similar in any game, right?
Yep.
Because you're not joining a server that's always up, right? You're not joining a community that's like, hey, let's get on, let's game, right? You're joining an experience that happens maybe twice a week, right? Um, and there's very specific parameters to it. The biggest piece of advice that I could give, especially for like the two people that you put out there, right, is like either the younger guy, right, that is trying to figure out what he wants to do in life, right, things like the military stuff's really cool, and the veteran is lean into it, right. The most unliked person, right, is the the super unappeasable, right, like no, like I have to run a Barrett. Like you don't understand.
Mm.
Like I bought this game, I have to run a Barrett. Or the veteran that is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
The conceited know-it-all.
Yeah.
the conceited know-it-all, or like looks down on it, right? We've weirdly enough ran into those people. Like, like this
Yeah,
is
holier than thou.
our thing, bro. Like, I understand that I'm a weirdo pretending to be still in the army on the internet, right? You just gotta. That's the biggest piece of advice. Just lean into it and like lean into the experience, take it for what it is, and try to get the good stuff out of it.
Yeah. Drink the Kool-Aid.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
That's good. That's
You guys got anything on that?
That's well said.
Yeah, it's pretty well said.
good shit. Yeah, you get out of it what you put into it. Go all in. That's how you get those experiences. If you're just half-assing it or part-time in it, you're going to miss out on a lot. So let's say, and I got to say, I always like to put social media links in the podcast description below so people can check you out, check out your Discord, get eyes on your videos and your screenshots and other media. So with that, let's say, somebody's checking you out for the first time. They don't know, much about your history other than what they've heard here in this podcast. If there's one thing that you would want to kind of show off, what you would want to showcase to a new viewer, what would you want them to see?
So I got a script for this actually. I've said this a couple times to relate this experience to other people,
Hmm.
And it is the opening phase of an operation, right? So imagine you got 20 hours in the game. It's your first operation ever, right?
Okay.
You don't really have an understanding of how the military works, right? You know, it's a machine of moving parts, right? But you don't really understand how it works, right? And in a video game, you're there with 60 dudes. Some idiot comes up to the front, says, "I'm gay," right? And then talks about a bunch of stuff, right? And then your squad leader tells you to get onto a helicopter, right? All the helicopters turn on at the exact same time. They all lift off at the exact same time. They all land at the exact same time in formation, right? Nobody is talking, right? Not a single person is talking. You just got out of the bird, middle of the night, right? Everybody's pulling security. Still, nobody's talking. Out of the corner of your eye, you see dudes stand up and start walking to exactly where they're supposed to be, right? As time progresses here, right, you walk through, still nobody is talking. Your team leader's talking to you, nobody else. You hear nobody, right? You maneuver through some foliage, right? You get out on this, onto a hold point, right? You can kind of see the objective right out in front of you, so you're like the lead squad, right? And then everybody's just quiet for like 2 minutes or so, right? People talking on platoon net. You have no awareness of that, right? And then all of a sudden, your team leaders get ready, stand up, right? You hear some idiot counting behind you, right? When he hits a certain number, you hear mortar splash. 240s immediately start shooting, right? Air comes in, strikes a bunker, right? Your team leader's now yelling, "Get up, start running," right? And then all of a sudden, you're assaulting objective, right? When you're 50 meters off the objective, without you understanding anything, that 240 fire immediately shifts and is no longer going to be hitting you,
Hmm.
right? That's the coordination. That's the product that I would like people to see. Is how many moving parts act in unison every single time without fail.
Gotcha. So yeah, how it all flows and works together towards that common goal, that common objective. That's good. Yeah, I like that. So, mentioned, the guy, screaming "I'm gay," and some of the other, kind of, cultural aspects of 10RR. But I gotta ask, and I do this with everybody. Uh, are there any other traditions, any rituals unique to the unit that you can share with us?
Shit. Um,
He got
you
you
guys
with
got
that
anything
one.
on
Yeah, I was gonna say you might
Yeah.
have jumped the gun on that, but
Making fun of each other in the AR for about 10 minutes before we do anything productive.
I got one. So with every end, I think it was uh, I think it's been end of campaign, but now it's like end of month. But we give out AAMs or Army Achievement Medals.
Oh yeah.
Like one person in every squad or every element, and this AAM is usually supposed to be really funny. But like it can be anything from like, yeah, this guy's entry into the unit was like absolutely terrible. He fucked everything up, but he went on a redemption arc and he finally did something great. And now he's one of the best people that you should look up to, and we're giving him this fake little medal, and then giving these people recognition for their dedication to the unit, not because that they've been in here long, but because that they've actually made an impact to the unit that is probably going to be, that will be in our 10th Ranger Regiment lore for years to come.
That's really good, and it's going to be in their minds, those soldiers' minds, for a long time as well. It sounds like something that nobody would forget very easily. I like it. So yeah, some good stuff here. You guys got a lot of spirit. You got a well-developed unit with deep culture, solid camaraderie. Like I said earlier, a lot of good things going for you here. So another question I always love to ask, and this is one of the audience favorites, as a matter of fact, is that let's say 10R is, they're working in Hollywood, they're going to tell their story on the big screen, and they're looking for some kind of classic movie that kind of sets the tone and that they can relate to. Oh yeah, I should have seen. Yeah, I should have seen that one coming.
Yeah.
So, which military movie, miniseries or TV show do you think best captures the spirit of 10RR?
Band of Brothers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Probably that one.
What's the one with Mel Gibson where they get their ship pushed in?
Oh, dude.
What's that?
That's Lieutenant
we were
Colonel Moore, bro.
Yeah, we were soldiers.
We were soldiers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were soldiers.
Yep.
Moore.
Yep. Well, solid movies. I mean, they are classics.
Yeah, if Hal Moore was just saying "I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay" instead of his rousing speech.
Right, you just got to shift forward a generation, move from the '60s up to the present day. Hey, it happens. So no, solid titles. I hear that a lot. I mean, they're obviously they are they're newer classics, but they are just part of Hollywood lore, Milsim. We all love to watch those movies over and over again. So solid titles, and I can see how you can relate to those stories there. So I also want to ask about your experience with Milsim units. So you guys, you're Tier 1 unit here on the platform. I mean, that's, you guys are, you're SOF in server. So, if I was going to say if the shoe fits, if the boot fits, wear it. But I always want to ask very seriously, how has your interaction with Milsim units been? It's like, how have we helped? What do you want to see from us going forward? We want to keep this relationship, relationships with other units and unit leaders going. So what kind of feedback can you give us?
I think the biggest source, right, or the biggest benefit is the interaction with others in here, right? Like I said earlier, it is never a negative thing to know people, right, and to interact with people. Whether it's sharing ideas, like this is like a reason I like to do, like, I'll never knock doing somebody else's BCT or participating in somebody else's operators. You always learn new things, right? And it's the same thing here. Sharing ideas, sharing perspectives with other people in the unit, right? Whether you are the one helping or they're the one helping, it's always a net positive. So the Discord especially is a big benefit. I'm not sure. I mean, we joined this recently. I mean, our biggest recruiting streams are Reddit and YouTube. I think we've gotten a couple people from Milsim units. I mean, that's not the biggest benefit from us, but I mean, I see it overall as a positive. Just having the name out there on that platform, and then the Discord that you guys have put together.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's a labor of love. We're not doing this, to make money by, we're just paying our bills here with the website and, some of the dev work that's going into the platform here. So yeah, we wanna bring out the best. I use that phrase all the time. I talk about you guys bring out the best in your soldiers. Units can bring out the best in one another too, and learning. Even if you're not playing or fighting together. Just being in the same room, being in the same space, and sharing ideas and bouncing things off each other, it really is a benefit for a lot of people. And whether you're leading a unit or you're just kind of coming along for the ride. There are a lot of great people here on the platform that you can reach out to. You can just, kind of pick their brains. You can share, some of your own wisdom as well, because people they're curious. They're hungry for it. They want to know what makes a successful unit tick, and how they can, achieve those same kind of, high speed, memories that you guys are sharing here. So, thank you again for that feedback. So, shit, we've covered a lot. Took a really, really deep dive into 10RR here, seeing how you guys tick, how the unit flows, as I mentioned here. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to share with the audience? I mean, what's one thing that you want people to know about your unit that they might not realize from what you've shared already?
I'll let these guys start it off first. Espino, you got anything on that?
What's one thing that you want people to know about your unit that they might not realize? Um,
We're not overly serious. I
yeah,
mean, we
probably
we put effort into what counts in order to make us into like an established milsim, or I dare I even say realism. But like we touched on it time and time again before, always trying to meet the ground force commander's intent, always trying to make sure that everybody has a good time while also keeping into the spirit of like milsim, like doing everything right by the book. Like that is,
yeah,
if people are yearning for the experience but not necessarily wanting to get uh uh yelled at for not addressing their superior by a certain rank, or all of the other dumb mundane stuff that you would expect in actual military life, like definitely give us a try. Like
yeah,
give us a taste. There's some people that are way more serious than us, and there's definitely a lot more units that are hella more casual. But like I feel like we found the great definite balance in making sure that realism is actually fun for people.
yeah. And if you come here, you will learn something. Like that cannot be stressed enough. If you come here, you will learn something that you could be playing this game for 10 years. You have never seen that before.
Hmm.
And it just comes from the amount of experience, like real life experience that we have and our backgrounds and stuff like that.
Yep. And an example of that is which funny enough, we just did, but this is the example I always give, is a doctrinal breach mind wire obstacle. I have
Yep.
never seen that in 14 years of playing this game, except for when we've done
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
A platoon breach mind wire obstacle.
Yeah, you come here, you open your map, and you see a real downs plan from first down to touchdown, and you like he said, you could be playing this game for 10 years, you'll never see. I've never seen that outside of the army. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, good stuff. I appreciate you coming on here. I mean, obviously, you've subbed with the platform. We're happy to be working with you, and I'm just glad to get to know you guys, hear where you're coming from and where you're going. So, I want to say, Gray, Espino, Alvy, it has been an absolute pleasure. This has been a great podcast, and I'm really looking forward to getting this one up and sharing it with the rest of the community. So, thank you again for joining us.
thank you,
Of
Brock.
course.
Thank you for having us, man.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much,
Yeah,
Brock.
my pleasure. So, let's say someone's you got their interest peaked, man. They're checking out your links, they're on your Discord, watching the videos here, and they want to join up. What's the best way that our listeners can get involved with the unit?
So the easiest way, right? We keep it very, very, very simple, right? From start to finish. The best way is to join the Discord. The Discord has all of the combined information, right? The tag that you start with is set up for a reason, right? There's no chat channels other than talk to a recruiter, for a reason. All that is available to you is the information about the unit, right? You can check on, you can look at the roster, right? You can see the documents that are up there. You can see the YouTube, right? Join the Discord, see if it's somewhere that you would fit, right? Ask any questions. We love questions. Actually, like I prefer people ask questions, right? No matter how out of the box. Um, and that's a really simple process. We have a purse cob, right? You can log into it with Google or Discord or whatever, right? Makes it really easy. You submit a quick application, which is just pretty much admin information about you, right? Like how many hours you have, so we know going into the BCT if you have never played the game before. Your age and stuff like that. We are an 18 plus only unit, right? We are a North American only unit, right? We will not accept people from outside of the U.S. or Canada. Other than that, you just submit that application, and we'll get you set up. We'll get all your tags. There's not really a yes or no, as long as you meet that criteria and you have a microphone. Then you do a BCT, and then you're ready to go for ops.
All right, simple enough. Well, you heard it there, folks. So yeah, take a look. We've got their Discord, their social media there. Get eyes on for yourself and see if these are the kind of guys that you want to run with here. We've, like I said, we've gone over a lot, learned a lot about the unit and their experiences here. So take a look, see it for yourself. All right, gentlemen. Well, this has been a good one. So definitely looking forward to getting this one up. Like I said, we're going to get it out there as soon as possible. And I've got some other podcasts in the works. So great to have 10RR with us here tonight. And we will be back very soon with the next podcast once that is ready to go. So until that time, this is C. Brock signing off.